From the heartland of America, focused on God, family, and country, the mouthpiece of the Midwest. This is Dale Carter's America.
We're back in the podcast studio in Raytown, Missouri. Hi, Dale Carter. He is Kurt Wheeler.
Hi.
And we're ready to tell the truth. There's a lot of truth to be told.
Yes.
Don't you think?
The whole truth.
And nothing but the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
And sometimes we don't agree on what the truth is, but that's okay. We just move forward. We have a lot of sponsors who help us with this podcast. Let's jump right in with that. Bob Watson, my State Farm agent for 31 years, just an incredible human being, has nursed me through having 4 kids of my own and now a stepson, not to mention my driving habits and my homeowner's insurance. He can do auto, home, life. It's the brand you know, State Farm, 816-229-7878. And you'll say, Dale, I don't live in Blue Springs with you. That's fine. Bob is licensed in both Missouri and Kansas. He has clients on both sides of state line, and he's been a State Farm agent more than 50 years. So
I'd say congratulations.
So Bob is the gold standard of State Farm agents. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call and get a rate quote today. So as you're consuming our podcast, there are many different ways to do it. So why don't you go ahead and take the ball from there?
Yes. Hopefully you are watching on Rumble or YouTube, the video podcast. You get to see my amazing shirt today. And make sure you drop that like, drop a comment, hit that subscribe button, and share the link with your friends. You can also listen to the audio-only version on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. And then join in on Facebook as well. Follow us on Facebook and join in the conversation. We've been getting great numbers on Facebook the past few weeks. You've had some real bangers that all the Facebook boomers really like.
I guess so.
Not to what is it? Kick a gift horse in the mouth or whatever.
You do want to have the video version of today's podcast all the way to the end, because there's something in the kicker that I'm not going to give it away. And I guess once you get this, you can fast forward all the way to the end, right?
Yeah, it still counts as a view.
So there's something you want to see on the video at the end. Maybe you don't want to see it. And as far as Facebook goes, I do want to throw this out there. We don't do it very often. I don't do it very often. And I know how you feel about this in terms of blocking people. But I did block someone this week, and it's somebody who, no matter what I put on the Facebook page, no matter what I put on my campaign page, he's always laughing or saying, well, now I know what to do opposite of that. And it just makes no sense. I mean, there are things out there that we're going to talk about today where Republicans and Democrats agree, and he's still laughing at it and saying, this means I can vote against it. So I just think I don't know, maybe the sidewalk doesn't go all the way to the front door. I don't know what's going on with him. Yeah. But we just don't need that anymore. And I don't want that. What I want is healthy debate. I mean, there's somebody who said something that I completely disagree with today, and maybe we'll go back and forth and have a discussion, but I know he's a real live person, and I know that I can convince him or he can convince me. That's what these conversations ought to be about. Not just throwing out a bunch of crap and social media may well be the death of this country, and we'll get to that.
Murder's bad. Ha 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 ha, Nazi.
Yeah, exactly. The sky is blue. Ha ha ha. No, it's not. It's orange. Orange man bad. Speaking of the orange man, he's going to be on TV tonight. We're taping this on Thursday. He's going to go on tonight. I have no idea what he's going to say. I'm not going to watch.
I have an idea what he's going to talk about.
He's going to, what, is Iran or the election?
It's definitely going to be Iran, because we're back to war again.
We're bombing the crap out of them.
Yeah. And I'm sure he's going to get congressional approval this time, right?
Oh, boy.
Just like you said, Dale.
And, here's the other thing. And we can debate that all day long. Republican and Democrat presidents have looked at the War Powers Act and said, yeah, right, good luck. Try and enforce that. Yeah. So he's also probably going to talk about the 2020 election. I wish he'd stop. I mean, that's a dead horse. Stop beating the dead horse. But it is kind of funny that Joe Biden is releasing his book. I mean, the jokes just write themselves, right? The book is called Promise Me America. Now, did he write it? Did the auto pen write it? And the question that is inconvenient to ask, because, oh my God, you can't be that. You're an election denier. If you deny the election, you're an election denier. I just have always had a question. I mean, here's Joe Biden, who how many times tried to get the nomination? and couldn't get the nomination. So he rides with Barack Obama for 2 terms. And then Barack Obama doesn't want him to run for president. Hillary gets the nod. So here comes Joe Biden running after the first term of Donald Trump, and out of nowhere, he gets 81 million votes. To put that in perspective, the usual Democrat candidate gets about 65 million votes, and he gets 81, which is the most in the history of the Republic. And you're thinking, well, it all came from Donald Trump. Donald Trump actually got more votes in 2020 than he did in 2016. So to me, it just doesn't make any sense. So that's always going to be the question in the back of my mind. And if I say that, then I'm an election denier and blah, blah, blah. Trump says it and he's crazy. And it's like, let's just get through this next 2.5 years. Because if Donald Trump had won that election, we'd be past the Donald Trump era right now. Then what would they bitch about?
Yeah.
They'd find something to bitch about.
There'll always be something.
Indeed. So the campaign update, I want to talk about this quite a bit because Jackson County is important to me. I know we have a lot of listeners and viewers in Jackson County. The door-to-door campaign for District 5 that I'm running for is going well. Common theme at the door, assessments, assessments, assessments. The tax assessment issue was so botched under Frank White, and we're just now coming out of that, and it's important that we keep going in the right direction. They want to know where the money is. What's the county spending our money on? Well, this week, this was just amazing. Republicans and Democrats getting together at the Elks Lodge in Blue Springs. Phil Laboda hosted it, right? It was a forum on the tax assessment issue. And it was great to see. It wasn't just Republicans. It was Democrats too, because Phil's a Democrat. And we talked about ideas and the things that are going to happen. It was a civil, positive discussion, which gives me hope in my heart that it can happen. Was my opponent one of the Democrats there? He was not. He's moved on to his next big thing, although today he's all over Amendment 5, thinks it's a horrible idea. It's transferring the tax burden to people who don't currently pay it. Well, gee, there's an idea. Maybe some people who aren't paying taxes ought to have a little responsibility in all this. But he wasn't there. He's also moved on to flock cameras, which is interesting. How do you feel? Do you know what flock cameras are?
I've just been hearing about it. I don't know if it's a new thing or just a new word to describe an existing thing. Is that like the cameras that are on the poles?
Yeah.
That like track your speed camera or whatever? Yeah. I mean, I don't like it. But like also we have this, which
they
tracks
track
everything
us on.
that you do already. So, I mean, yeah, surveillance is a huge problem. But
well, he's totally against it, and you would think, well, the way politics works, I should be totally for it because he's totally against it, and that's brum, brum, brum. We got to lock heads and all that,
right?
And I'm open to hearing about it. Some of my friends on the Republican side say it's a violation of the Fourth Amendment, and it's probably going to be tested in the courts. We'll see where that all goes. It doesn't really bother me. I don't stay up late at night thinking about flock cameras. I think I'm a pretty law-abiding guy. I'm not really worried about it. But I can see where that might cause some problems. So that's one of his big things too. And of course, ice masking, that's one of his big deals.
Oh, Flock is the company, I guess.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, Flock Group Incorporated, doing business as Flock Safety, is a privately held American manufacturer and operator of security hardware and software, particularly automated license plate recognition, video surveillance, gunfire locator systems, and supporting software.
Well, and the cops think it's a really good idea, and it will help public safety.
What could possibly go wrong?
There are things that could go wrong. It probably will go wrong. So, I mean, that debate's going to continue. So, he's all over ice masking, conversion therapy, and he talks about everything except tax assessments. And to me, that is the bright red light on the dashboard that says engine trouble. So I'm going to keep talking about it because I think it's really important. He was endorsed by the Lee Summit Democrats. Okay. Lee's Summit is not in the 5th district of Jackson County. It's in the 6th district of Jackson County. And he says, I'm for more than the 5th district. I'm for all of Jackson County. Well, that's something called an at-large seat. And if you want to do that, that's what you should run for.
Right.
You shouldn't run for the district seat. The people of Blue Springs and Grain Valley and Oak Grove, Buckner, Sibley, little piece of independence, and unincorporated Jackson County, I'm sure they took note of that, or at least if they didn't, I'm going to remind them. So highlights from the meeting that Phil had. A 15% cap on assessments. And some of those assessments, and they started with personal property like your house, and then they moved on to businesses. And some of these people who were there just had horror stories, like their assessment went up 80% or 100%, right? And they're just taxed out of their houses. So Phil came in and he said, okay, the first thing we're going to do is cap assessments at 15%. Makes sense, right? And he said you could even fight for lower than that, but that will be the max that we're going to do is 15%. He also announced a freeze on selling delinquent properties on the courthouse steps because they can't know for a fact that these people didn't get screwed in the assessment process. Logical decision. Very refreshing. Republicans, Democrats gathered in Blue Springs, they get it. And this election for Jackson County, in a lot of ways, nationally and at the state level, it's not red versus blue. It's sane versus insane. When you hear some of the things that they're talking about, like, wanting to add a transportation tax to the November ballot. Something that we don't have right now. I mean, I've talked about this before.
What is that exactly?
Well, their view, their vision, and I used to subscribe to this until the voters in a republic, you vote for people to represent you, and then you better take into account what they want. And I was all on board with a transportation deal of having, commuter rail that went from the airport all the way south, east to west, with train stations offshooting from that. Because I've been in towns about the size of Kansas City where they do have it, and it's really cool. And development comes around those train stations. This town does not want that. They don't want it. They love their cars. Per capita, we have more freeways than any other city in the country. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Per capita, we have the most freeways. People don't want to part with their cars, and they don't want this transportation deal. Yet, people like my opponent and some other people that are running in the race are trying to jam that into some sort of a vote in November. I don't want to see that because the combat tax is also going to be there. That's the 1/4 cent tax that goes to police departments throughout Jackson County. It goes for drug treatment. It's really made an impact. And at some point, we're going to have Phil Lavoda on probably after the primary election and let him talk about combat. I'm on the Combat Commission. I've been in favor of it before. I've actually carried water on it before and gone door to door and knocked because I feel so strongly about it. It's making a difference. But if you put the combat renewal on the ballot next to a transportation tax, it's going to bring out the no-nos. Mm-hmm. People are going to come out to vote and they're going to go, no new taxes, boom, boom. And then we lose combat.
Yeah. Well, also, a 1/4 cent tax or whatever it is not going to fund an entire new transportation mass transit system.
No.
That's insane.
The 1/4 cent is combat.
I know, but I'm saying it would have to be much more than that to get anywhere even close. Because I think maybe it was you, Dale, or somebody was telling me that it was explored in the past and that Amtrak didn't want to share the rails or something.
KC Southern.
Southern.
We were going to use existing rail, and they put up a block that we couldn't because that was why it was going to be relatively inexpensive to do it. Unlike cities like Seattle, for instance, where they had to build the entire infrastructure for commuter rail. We kind of had some of it already, and then they threw up a roadblock, and that. And just even then,
it wouldn't be nearly enough. Those go through the major east-west, north-south corridors, but how are you going to get, to all the other places? You know what I mean? It's it's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. If it was going to happen, it would have happened 50 years or more ago. They would have built that infrastructure, and now it's too late.
Yeah. So no guests today, but I did invite Dan Tarwater, He is going to be a guest on this podcast on July 30th. That's the episode that will drop on August the 1st. Dan is one of the Democrats running for county executive. He was at this meeting that Phil Lavoda had. Again, it was a combination of Republicans and Democrats coming together and saying, what is the rational thing to do moving forward? Because this county has a credibility issue. Because it's seen by people on the outside as a bunch of buffoons, if not criminals. And so we've got to show that we can effectively govern. Before you start adding on a bunch of Christmas tree ornaments, you better show that you can block and tackle. That's mixing metaphors.
Yeah.
That's like football and Christmas. But you get the idea. You got to be, okay, let's stay with football. You got to be able to block and tackle before you put in the flea flicker.
There you go.
So that's coming up, and he's a guy who has been on the legislature before and would go in on day one and know what he was doing. And when Phil was appointed to this interim role, Dan also pitched for the interim role, so they know each other well and they play well off of each other. Our next big fun event, I hope that you will come, is our Taco Tuesday at the Elks Club in Blue Springs. We're going to be upstairs in the meeting room there from 5 to 7. We're going to have music and fun, hopefully raise some money for the campaign. Things will really heat up for my campaign and all the campaigns after we get past the August primary. Make sure you vote in the August primary if you live in Missouri, because there are amendment issues on the state constitution, and we talked about that in the last episode. You might want to go back if you missed that one. Read all about my campaign. Help out if you can at dalecarter.us. We are out there knocking doors in the 5th District, so hopefully I'm going to come to your front door here before you know it.
Can I do a quick throwback real fast?
Yeah.
To the Biden book. You'll like this. This is a Babylon Bee headline. Biden excited to see what AutoPen comes up with for his memoir.
So sad. I mean, this guy, and I feel badly for him. I really do. I mean, his family has done him badly of putting him in that position and elder abuse.
That just popped up on our Facebook feed, so I figured I'd pop it up real quick.
Yeah. So, Clay Como Shooters is one of our fine sponsors here on the podcast. And, we talk about this quite a bit, that bad things can happen, and they can happen very quickly. And ultimately, it is up to you to defend your turf, to defend your house, to defend your family. You got to find the right weapon to do that with, and then for God's sake, get trained on it. And that's really where Clay Como Shooters goes above and beyond. They're law enforcement, former law enforcement. They train the cops. They can train you as well. So 69 Highway in Clay Como is where you'll find Clay Como Shooters, right between I-35 and I-435. Here's their phone number, 816-452-4867. They buy and sell guns, all major brands with the ammo to go along with them, but then they'll train you on how to use it and not use it. I mean, sometimes you just want to use it as some sort of a deterrent, right? Pull it out. Maybe somebody will run away the other way. But in the case where you're going to need to use it, you need to know. You need to know all the facts about defending your turf and how stand your ground is really supposed to work. An affordable indoor range will help with your training, too. Clay Como Shooters, 69 Highway, Clay Como, 816-452-4867. Medicare Simplified KC. That's for the folks who are in their 60s, and 65 is approaching fast. Some of us are approaching it faster than others. Maybe you've got a parent or a grandparent who is approaching 65. Help them out. Get them to Kirk Doris, because this federal program is massively complicated. Which part, which plan, which supplement do you need to go along with it? It all depends on you and your circumstances. Kirk's been swimming in these waters for a very long time, and he can help you get where you need to get. 816-701-6661 on the web at MedicareSimplifiedKC.com. They're at 3600 South Nolan Road in Independence, but if you can't make it to him, he'll arrange to come to you and spread it all out for you. And you don't pay him at all. He's paid by the insurance companies. So put him to work for you to get the best deal that you can with Medicare. So I was shocked by the passing of Lindsey Graham. Were you?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, 71 years old, a very vibrant man who worked his ass off from all indications. He was just coming back from the Ukraine, where he was negotiating with those folks, trying to end that war and get things going in the right direction. I've said this many times on the radio show and on the podcast, that what I have learned in my life is short, death is certain. You got to live every day like it's your last, because one day it will indeed be your last day. Donald Trump was one of the last calls he made. He said he just got back from the Ukraine and he was feeling a little tired, but felt like that things were going in the right direction. Graham was supposed to be on Meet the Press the next morning. He, as I understand it, was the most frequent guest on NBC's Meet the Press.
Really?
Yeah, like 60 some odd times he'd been on Meet the Press. Obviously, he could not make it because he passed away, so the President of the United States took his place.
President Trump, thank you for joining us, and my condolences to you.
Well, thank you. He's a tough one to lose. He was great. He was unique in every way, actually.
He was, Mr. President, and I know that we are all just absorbing this news. We are all in shock. Can you tell us, Mr. President, how you received this news and your immediate gut reaction when you heard it?
So what makes it even stranger is that I got a call last night sometime at, the early evening, maybe in the 7s, and he called and he said, we're all set for the Save America Act. He was pushing the Save America Act like crazy. He got back, said he just landed from Ukraine. I said, that's a long trip to make. He said, he sounded a little tired, but perfect, but a little bit tired. Had a right to be. And he was a worker. He was really a worker, but he sounded great, actually. But he actually said he was tired. But he wanted to pass the Save America Act. And I said, well, we're going to get it done, Lindsey. We're going to get it done. I'll see you soon. We thought maybe we might even meet today. And then that was it. And that was, very around the time. It couldn't have been much longer. It could have been his last call. I don't know exactly. But I got a message about 1 o'clock in the morning from one of the people at his office that he had passed away. I said, I just can't believe it. He was like a member of the family to me. It's very tough, actually. It's amazing.
Mr. President,
he was such an advocate. He was, if he wanted to get something, and he had a unique ability. He was able to deal with Democrats and Republicans. If I had a problem, a real problem, I wouldn't often ask. But if I had a problem with a Democrat, he could work it out. He was a great politician, actually.
Happy warrior is the term I've heard used most to describe Lindsey Graham. Tough politician. Politics is not beanball. I can tell you that from my own personal knowledge on the local level. I can only imagine it gets worse when you get to national politics, especially if you're going to run for president. And Graham was a candidate for president in 2016, clashed hard with Donald Trump. Remember that the scene in 2016? I think there were like 20 Republicans on that stage. I mean, it was the most I'd ever seen running for one party's nomination. And, Graham was hard on Donald Trump. He's like, if this guy gets elected, it's going to be the end of the world as we know it. Then Trump emerges as the nominee, and then the president, and then Graham gets on board. That's called party politics. He became a staunch Trump ally, including a fierce defense of SCOTUS nominee Brett Kavanaugh.
If you wanted an FBI investigation, you could have come to us. What you want to do is destroy this guy's life, hold this seat open, and hope you win in 2020. You've said that, not me. You've got nothing to apologize for. When you see Sotomayor and Kagan, tell them that Lindsey said hello, because I voted for them. I would never do to them what you've done to this guy. This is the most unethical sham since I've been in politics. And if you really wanted to know the truth, you sure as hell wouldn't have done what you've done to this guy. If you want,
he was pretty tough on them, and he did vote for Sotomayor and Kagan. He drew the line at Jackson, rightly so. I mean, we've talked about it on the podcast. I am still not convinced that she's read the Constitution. If anything, she is definitely an advocate trying to bend and twist the Constitution to make law instead of interpreting the law. And we even see that in, when Elena Kagan has gone after her in dissents and said, while I dissent against this, I'm not going over here because she's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And Joy Reid, I could not find the video on this, but I saw it, less than gracious. She basically says Graham's going to go to hell for how he treated Jackson in her hearing. So that's what's coming from the other side. And then you've got quote-unquote comedian Margaret Cho. Think about when I show you these things, I want you to think about it in terms of how we would react if something happened to a prominent Democrat. Barack Obama, throw him in there. If we did the things that they do on a personal level in an attack mode, how would we be treated? And I think we know the answer to that. So here is comedian Margaret Cho and her take on Graham and Mitch McConnell, still alive as of this taping.
Bye, Lindsey. Bye, Lindsey Graham. From the closet to the coffin. Real seamless. Real seamless. Also, Mitch McConnell. So it's Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham. It does happen in threes. Hope.
Yeah, hope. Wouldn't they have a parade? I mean, if Donald Trump got taken out too, they'd just love that. That'd be great. Jimmy Kimmel is on vacation, probably kicking himself for not being able to take a parting shot at Graham. Cue this video to 2 minutes and 46 seconds. We're not going to give him a lot of time, but he got in a shot of his own.
What a weekend. What a crazy weekend. Mitch McConnell's alive. Lindsey Graham is dead. There's so many opportunities to get Jimmy's show pulled off the air again. They're going to pull it off. As I'm sure you've heard, Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina passed away suddenly on Saturday at the age of 71. Guillermo, I know you and him were close friends. You hosted fundraisers for him at the Dave & Buster's in Charleston, and I know you've prepared some heartfelt remarks. Do you want to share them with all of America right now?
Maybe later on. Later on. I'll do it later on. Yeah.
Later on. He's emotional, folks. Yeah. He's emotional. But don't worry, there have been tributes pouring in from leaders of both parties. Joe Biden said Graham valued the profound importance of public service. And George W. Bush said he was a kind and funny man who loved our country and loved serving it. But no one summed up Lindsey's life better than our favorite president and his good friend, Donald John Trump.
He loved playing golf, loved being outside. He'd play golf with people, and you just liked him. It wasn't that he was a great striker of the ball. He wasn't exactly a perfect. He wasn't Jack Nicklaus. He was not Tiger, but he loved it.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that's enough of that. But
that's not even funny.
None of it's funny. And there's an uncomfortable laugh, kind of like when somebody says something and you feel like you're supposed to laugh. It's not, rip-roaring laughter. It's just not funny.
It's not funny at all.
Yeah. And then The View. Here's the curveball I'm going to throw you, because Lindsey's sister has been appointed to by the governor of South Carolina to fill out his term. It's not very long. His term ends this year, and so there will be a runoff election. Well, there will be an election. Lindsey was up for re-election, so someone else will win that seat. He put her in as a caretaker, and what's her name? We bash her a lot. Sonny.
If you wanted an FBI investigation,
Whoa. Getting.
you could have come to us.
It's this right here.
Yeah.
Since his 40s, so
I don't love it.
What's going on? Okay.
I don't love it. She'll be the first woman to be a U.S. senator in South Carolina in the history of the state, and I think that's just fundamentally wrong that South Carolina just couldn't elect a woman, and this is the only way that it was done. I think that experience does matter, and while she is a certified optician and while she has done great work in that field, I don't think that she should be representing the people of South Carolina in the U.S. Senate. I just don't.
Isn't this the very definition of a DEI?
Correct. It's everything that the Republican Party stands against. Everything. everything. It's DEI, nepotism, all these things thrown in together. And
all right, you can cut that off there. I mean, a couple of examples that come to mind almost immediately. When I was a kid, Hubert Humphrey was the senator from Minnesota, and he died while he was in office. And they appointed his wife to fill out his term. In the state of Missouri, when Mel Carnahan was on the ballot, the election hadn't even happened yet. He was the former governor of Missouri. He was killed in a plane crash. They put Jean Carnahan's name on the ballot without any sort of an election, and he won, so she took over that Senate seat until the next special election. We're talking about a caretaker mode. Somebody else is going to win. This is all very symbolic, and for them to make a big deal out of it, I just don't get it.
They don't care. I mean, if it was a Democrat, they would obviously be in favor of it. They would be saying, it's the first woman representative from South Carolina. She's amazing.
I think Jean was the first female senator from Missouri,
I think it's funny, too, that they're like, well, she's an optician. I don't know if she's really experienced. Like, their hero is a bartender.
Yeah, no doubt. Rand Paul, I believe, is an optician.
Yeah.
Right?
Who cares?
Yeah, so nobody cares. I mean, these are people who come from all walks of life, and they get elected or appointed. It's not the end of the world. And I just thought that was in really bad taste, but it's The View, and they've made a living doing things in bad taste. Social media, just absolutely toxic. I talked about it at the top of our podcast today. I think it's going to be the ruin of this country. We just throw barbs at each other. We say things on social media that we would never say to somebody's face. Will it be the death of the country? I mean, like I said, can you imagine if we treated a Democrat the way they treated Lindsey Graham on the way out? Can you imagine the party that they're going to have when Donald Trump passes away? Right? It's incredible. Lindsey Graham may well have been gay. I have no idea. He was never married, didn't have any kids. And when you get to a certain age, when you've never been married, never had any kids, there's a lot of assumptions out there about you. I really don't care. Do you care?
I mean,
would you lead with that? The guy, who served his country as well as Lindsey Graham did, and he has a very rare tear in his aorta, and he bleeds out, and you're celebrating that?
I'll just say I wasn't a fan of him politically, but it has nothing to do with him allegedly being gay or not.
There's differences. He was a war hawk, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people in the Republican Party have a problem with that stance.
He also co-authored the amnesty that we got under Obama, too.
Yeah, Rush used to give him a hard time with that. He called him Lindsey Grahamnesty. Mm-hmm. So, but this is different. This is somebody died. This is, say the nice things, even if you got to fake it, right? Don't attack at this point. And I will make this pledge to you that even if somebody I disagree with politically, if a similar thing happens to them, I'm not going to dance on their grave. I'm just not. And maybe it takes a little bit of civility from all of us to get back to a civil society. Let's think about that. I read somewhere that there's speculation on the Democrat side that when Donald Trump finally leaves the White House, which is going to happen. So, and I'm seeing less and less TDS. Maybe it's my imagination, but I feel like there's less and less of it.
You've just blocked all of them on Facebook.
Have I blocked them all? Maybe their hair's not quite as on fire over everything that happens. The clock is ticking. He is not going to run for a third term. It's not going to happen. So the Donald Trump era will end. And quite frankly, if you hadn't pulled some shenanigans in 2020, it would already be over. Think about that. So for those of you who did that, it's your fault. But I did read something that said that when Trump is gone, the MAGA era will be dead. The ironic part here that I want to share is that Trump didn't start MAGA. It started with Ronald Reagan. Mm-hmm. And I found a commercial for the Reagan campaign that we're not going to show here because the video was kind of fuzzy. But I did find this that makes the point that Make America Great Again was Ronald Reagan.
Thanks to the economic policies of the Democratic Party, millions of Americans find themselves out of work. Millions more have never even had a fair chance to learn new skills, hold a decent job, or secure for themselves and their families For those without job opportunities, we'll stimulate new opportunities, particularly in the inner cities where they live. For those who've abandoned hope, we'll restore hope and we'll welcome them into a great national crusade to make America great again.
How is that different from what Donald Trump says?
That's pretty much his 2016 campaign in a nutshell right there.
Other than Ronald Reagan was a lot more cogent than Donald Trump. I mean, he's not,
less flamboyant, not in, not in the gay sense, not to bring up Lindsey Graham again, but
you do Trump pretty well. I mean, he's all over the map, and he comes back to things. He calls it the weave.
Well, Trump is more, what's the word when it's like everything's the best or the greatest? The superlatives. He does superlatives. So he does, it's going to be the best time we've ever seen, right? The greatest. Not only great, but the greatest, frankly, right?
Lindsey, not a great golfer. Not Tiger.
Yeah, that part was like, it's not even funny.
I know.
He's making light of the situation,
Yeah, crazy. All right, well, we can make light when we have a full belly, and we get that at Funhouse Pizza. There are 2 locations of Funhouse Pizza. It is the best pizza in town. 2 locations, Blue Springs, 7 Highway, Lee's Summit, 50 Highway. Lee's Summit a little bigger, but Blue Springs has fun too. And, they got video games at both. They got pinball at both. They got rides. And when you want to take your kids for a birthday party, just call Jim Dingman, and they'll block it off for you, and it'll be an incredible experience for your kids. You got a team meeting coming up. Junior League football, I would think, is about ready to kick off. You might want to have the team meeting there. You got a birthday party, maybe an adult birthday party. That's fine, too. If you just want some great pizza, it's Funhouse Pizza. Funhousepizza.com. Get there, grab some lunch, dine in, take it with you. And again, just an incredible place to hang out. And Jim Dingman, a great friend of this podcast.
Tremendous people.
Michael Schroer is quickly becoming one of my best friends because when you got a problem with your house and you're thinking about selling it, and the first bid that you get for fixing the problem is $152,000, you want a different option. And Michael got a guy who does pools. I have what I call the cement pond in the backyard. I bought it that way, and we're going to fix it for about $11,000.
That's cheaper.
$11,152,000. And Michael is already working with me on things that we can do, the little things that we can do that are going to increase the value of the house. So when I sell it, I'm going to get the maximum amount of money for it. That's why Michael Schroer is the guy that he is. He's a broker at RE/MAX Elite in Lee's Summit. He sells houses. He finds you your next house, maybe your first house. He specializes in first-time home buyers. So if you want to move from that apartment to a home experience, get on the phone to Michael. If you got kids and you're putting more kids in the house, you need more bedrooms. Kids are going off to school or off to their job. You need fewer bedrooms. Maybe you got a piece of land you want to build on. I gave him a hard time about what we talked about last week with the hobby farm, and he told me the backstory on that, which was pretty good. Michael Schroer, reach out to him for your real estate needs. 816-373-8400 is the office number. His cell, which I'm sure he doesn't mind me giving out, is 816-520-9342. Email at michaelschroer56@gmail.com. You spell Schroer, SCHROER, and then the number 56@gmail.com. We're not quite ready to sell yet, so don't light my phone up with wanting to buy my house, because we're not quite there yet. But we'll get there.
This place is nice, by the way. I'm looking it out on
what is
Zillow
that
right now.
Oh, I did see that one. And the way they sell, man, they're going fast. That's 6 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms.
Big kitchen, big bedrooms, nice kind of open foyer concept. It's cool.
Yeah.
Little gazebo in the back, shed.
Does it have a pool?
It does not have a pool.
That, to me, is a positive.
Yes.
There are 2 things in life. If you take no other advice from me on this podcast, take this from me. Don't buy a house with a pool. Find a friend who has a house with a pool. And
it's actually like, I don't want to say how close for the sake of anonymity, but it is quite close to here where we're at.
Okay.
Yes.
And the other piece of advice is don't buy a boat. Find a friend who has a boat if you like to go out on the boat. These are two pieces of advice I'm going to give you. Our disagreements with the other side are not personal. They're not personal for me. I mean, I disagree on policy. We've been doing that in the 5.5 years we've been on this podcast. When Joe Biden took over as president, I thought he gave a pretty good inaugural speech. He didn't live up to it, but he gave a pretty good inaugural speech. And I disagreed with him on policy throughout his term. There are times I disagree with Donald Trump on policy. You are not going to find the perfect candidate no matter what. I mean, there are people in the 5th District who may or may not vote for me who I'm not going to be perfect for them, but I'm going to try really hard. I'm going to work hard at it. Let's talk about some of our disagreements. Birthright citizenship. Upheld by the Supreme Court 5-4, with Brett Kavanaugh hinting to Congress that they can fix it with legislation. And I think that's going to go forward. We'll see how far that gets. I do not believe that the authors of the 14th Amendment, think about that, Reconstruction after the Civil War, I don't think the authors that granted citizenship to former African slaves and their descendants had this in mind.
Cue the video.
I would say 7:15. I was driving through the intersection.
That's not the right
Hill
video.
Street.
All right. Let me pull it up.
Here were rows of bassinets of Chinese women giving birth to new U.S. citizens, sometimes going back to the CCP. It seems to me pretty common sense what you're proposing in the legislature. Are any of your colleagues on board? Do you think this will actually pass, making birth tourism a felony?
Well, I've only recently called for this in the past couple of days, but absolutely we are picking up momentum and support as every day that goes by. Representative David Lowen here in Texas has supported it, as well as U.S. Congressman Chip Roy. Congressman Keith Self just yesterday endorsed this plan. As far as I'm concerned, every elected Republican should be demanding an immediate special session to make it a felony to engage in birth tourism in Texas, and should be joining my call for the governor to order his appointees to stop giving birth certificates to illegals. This should not be controversial. So I would continue. I would renew my request, not only for the governor to call us back to get these common sense solutions done, but also every elected Republican in Texas needs to join the call. It is in.
Here were rows of.
Yeah. Well, the rows of bassinets they're talking about, and the billboards. I don't know if you had a chance to look for a picture of that, but they have billboards in Texas that basically have costs on them for what it will cost you to get into the United States, have a baby, so that you got an anchor baby, and all of a sudden you've got citizenship there.
That's crazy.
I mean, I can't get a Democrat to defend that. How does that make any sense? How can we have a country if we've got people coming here specifically to give birth? There's the billboards that we were talking about, and it's got like a natural
The website
birth.
is literally havemybabyintexas.com. How much more on the nose can you get than that?
Yeah. So good luck
mercy.
to Republicans. Let's get some legislation going on that, as per Brett Kavanaugh, and let's test it again, because I just don't understand how anybody can make an argument, other than Justice Jackson, that the 14th Amendment, the framers of that, thought in 2026, we're going to let people get here any way they can, drop a baby, and you've got citizenship.
Yeah.
That just makes absolutely no sense. ICE is still cleaning up Joe Biden's opening of the southern border with illegals shipped all over the country. We talked about that as it was happening. Remember the middle of the night plane rides from Texas to the interior of the country. And then Greg Abbott basically sending them by bus, and the Democrats losing their mind after Joe Biden had already been doing it. Well, 2 people have been killed this past week in ICE enforcement operations. Neither of the people killed was the target. But when you deal with law enforcement, this is what I tell my kids: comply and you won't die, right? There are people who are being paid to put themselves in the middle of this for political reasons. And now they're saying, well, I don't know that that's worth that. I don't want to lose my life over this. Well, here is an eyewitness who saw what happened in Maine.
I would say 7:15. I was driving through the intersection at Hill Street and Pool Street, and as I was approaching, you could see flashing blue lights, and then as I got closer, they were unmarked, so I assumed they were ICE, and then you could see them with their green vests and stuff, and it said police, ICE, and so as I actually was going through the intersection, I heard yelling. So I know I'm supposed to be paying attention, but I heard yelling off to my, so I looked, and I was watching, and the ICE agent was yelling and drew his weapon, and he kept yelling and warning the person driving, which is when the car was put into drive and was trying to hit the ICE officer, and he fired, I would say, probably 4 shots at him. And then by that time, I was also through, the intersection, so I just heard the popping, but I did see him draw his gun at the windshield. And then the car, you could see the car in the back, like rolling down the street afterwards.
So ICE agents are now going to be given body cams, and I think that's an excellent idea. We've talked about that many times on the podcast. I think body cams are great for cops at all levels because it protects the cops.
Yeah, I mean, it's having the opposite effect of what the original advocates intended, because the advocates for body cams intended for it to be against the police, that they could use it as evidence against the police to prosecute them.
That's their
and
narrative.
What you're finding is that actually people are crazy. And you're watching these body cam footage and you're like, whoa.
Yeah. I mean, the narrative out there that the left has had, and the reason why the socialists, I mean, you want to talk about way off the reservation, there is still a civil war going on in the Democrat Party because you've got people on the far left who are pulling your party further to the left, who want to defund cops, end prisons, open the borders, no military. I mean, it's just going to be anarchy and chaos if they get their way. But the narrative that you've been putting out is that the cops in this country are racist, they're bigots, they're homophobes, they can't wait to throw somebody to the ground, they love it when they get to kill somebody, especially if it's somebody of color, and body cams are just blowing holes in that. And so I think ICE should have had them all along, and they are going to get them. All right. So then there's DEI. Again, these are ideas. These are not personal attacks on people the way they've attacked Lindsey Graham, the way that they attack Donald Trump, the way that they attack a lot of Republicans. These are policy issues that we disagree. And DEI is one of the places that we disagree. This is from a hearing with the heads of our most prestigious medical universities on DEI creeping into choosing candidates for medical school. I'm going to start with this one. Representative Summer Lee, who says color matters when choosing a doctor.
Let me just say, I have a black doctor and I sought my black doctor out. In fact, black doctors are in high demand because black patients know that culturally competent care can be the difference between care and cure or life and death.
What does that mean exactly? Culturally competent care? Do you have like a different kidney because you're black? Isn't that like a racist? Isn't that an actually racist argument? That's like the argument they used to make back in, the 1920s was like about, skull shape and like the different biology and stuff. That's literally what she's saying. You need a different doctor because you're black. Why? Is your heart different?
Yeah.
Is a black person's heart different than a white person? Is your kidneys different?
When I was in the hospital dealing with what I was dealing with, where I almost died, I was at KU Med for 4 days. It was a female Indian doctor who basically saved my life. Does she count as a woman of color? That's my question.
That's a good one.
Would that satisfy her requirements?
Let's keep watching.
Just what it is. Just really quickly, I don't know if some of my colleagues know some of the history of black care and mistreatment in the medical field. But for instance, gynecology procedures were developed from unanesthetized, non-consensual experiments performed on enslaved black women. Life-saving vaccines were developed using stolen cells from Henrietta Lacks, a non-consenting black woman. Modern health care was built using black bodies without our consent. And when there is even the mere suggestion that we should invest in cures for diseases disproportionately affecting black people or that there aren't enough black doctors, Republicans cry DEI and say it's unfair. They say we should only rely on so-called objective standards for medical competence. But objective according to who? You cannot standardize test your way into empathy or take...
Objective according to objectivity.
Yeah.
Objective according to facts and like tests that everyone has to face. What do you mean objective according to...
you made a great point. I mean, do black people have different kind of kidneys? Different kind of heart? I mean, doctoring is doctoring. And by the way, it's according to whom? Not to be the grammar police here.
People's pain seriously or cultural competency. MCAT scores don't translate to better care for Black people automatically. Having all white male doctors is just as bad for the medical profession as having all white male congressmen is to our government.
I was about to make a very off-color joke there, and I'm not going to do it. I'll tell you after. If you remind me, I'll tell you after. But here's the thing. Like, I just have to say this. It's a little bit spicy, but it's not that spicy. It's just like objective. If the DEI thing keeps ramping up and, you know, we're hiring doctors based on the color of their skin, we don't have enough Black doctors. We need more Black doctors. Then as a patient, if you're smart, you should care about the color of your doctor, because if it's a Black doctor and they're hiring based on race, then the chances that that person is unqualified are much higher. So I don't want that, but I'm saying, like, that's what's going to happen. You're going to have people who electively will not go to a Black doctor because they're going to say, well, this person's not qualified.
Yeah. I want a meritocracy. I want the best of the best in every field. I want the best pilots. I want the best doctors. If the best doctor is Dr. Ben Carson, he's going to be a brain surgeon. I don't care if he's Black. He is Black. Okay. I mean, do we want to go to the NFL and say there aren't enough white running backs?
Yeah. Or the NBA. I mean, what's the percentage of white players in the NBA? Like,
it's crazy.
1%, 2%?
You know, let's just be the best of whatever we are and move forward. And certainly when it comes to medical care, you want the best of the best. And I'm not saying the best are white guys. When I was a teenager, I had a white doctor and he gave me the wrong prescription and almost killed me. I've almost died several times, Kurt. It's amazing that I've made it to almost 63 years old.
You've lived a storied life.
It's been something. But that was a white guy, you know?
Of course. No one's disagreeing with that. It's just that if you change the standards because they're not objective, quote unquote,
right,
and you make different standards, it's like the same thing with women cops. They're changing the standards for cops so that more women can become cops. Well, naturally, for that reason alone, you should not trust women cops.
Okay, so we've covered that. Then there's the age-old, can men get pregnant? This is the same hearing. This rears its ugly head. Look, this poor guy who runs one of the major medical schools in this country was like tortured by this.
Framework for gender and sex concepts in teaching advises against using the term pregnant women. Instead, it says to use pregnant people. Who are pregnant people compared to pregnant women? Just curious.
So that is a part of a curriculum to help our students who are facing a wide diversity of patients. Of course, the vast majority of pregnancies are in women, and I have absolutely no problem with using the word pregnant women.
The vast majority.
Can I just do a vibe check real quick? This is totally unbased, totally just a vibe check, but this guy needs like a hard drive check or something. He looks like a creep. I'm just going to say it. I don't know. He gives me weird vibes already.
Use it myself.
Has a non-biological woman ever had a baby?
A transgender person can.
Has a non-biological woman ever had a baby?
I would reiterate, we take
ridiculous.
care.
Framework.
I mean, what got me on this clip, just made me laugh hysterically, was the vast majority of pregnancies occur in women.
Yeah.
The vast majority.
Yeah. The vast.
Show me one person who calls himself a woman who doesn't have ovaries who has given birth. You can't do it. It does not exist. So it's not the vast majority. It's all births happen with women. Why can't they say that? Why can't they get there?
Isn't there like a, I'm not a math person, but isn't there a concept in math where it's like approaching infinity becomes infinity? If it's like 99.999999999 and just forever, like that is
Give me
infinity.
one example. Find one example of a trans woman, someone who has male parts, who's given birth. And if you can, I mean, I'll let this quote from this guy stand, that the vast majority of those who have a baby are women. I don't think you can. Maybe you can. But this is who they are, and this is why we disagree. Now, the difference is this is not personal, although we're poking a little bit of fun here and there. It's not personal. It's policy where we differ with them. And what we proved in Blue Springs, this week is that Democrats and Republicans can get on the same page about the important issue. We used to do it on a national level, and maybe there's hope that we'll get back there again. But I think social media holds us back. I hope I'm wrong about that. I hope that, whoever says that Donald Trump is the big problem here, and when Donald Trump goes off into the sunset, that, we are going to be able to get together on the important issues of our day in this country. I don't know that I believe that, but that's what they would have us believe, right?
Yeah, it'll just be the next outrage.
I'm sure.
For all time.
A lot of rage going on there. There's no rage when you get an American-made vehicle with my friend Mark Muller at Max Motors, maxmotors.com. They're in the outlying areas, which means they can save you even more money. Low overhead. Missouri dealerships that beat the big city dealers every time. The Amazon of car dealers. Go to that website that Kurt is scrolling through right now, maxmotors.com. Find the American-made vehicle that you want. They'll drive it to your front door and make the deal at your house. There's no sitting around a dealership all day. Max Ford, Max Chrysler Ford, Max Chevy GMC, Max Chrysler. You'll find them in towns like Richmond, Missouri, Clinton, Missouri, Butler, Missouri, Nevada, Missouri. These are all small towns. Again, they'll treat you right. Easiest place that you'll buy your next car. Small town American values, God, family, country. And if you don't buy from Max, my friend Mark Muller says, at least buy American. What I'm going to ask you is give him a shot, because he's going to beat those big city dealers every time.
America first.
Is that new?
No, I just don't use it very much.
And then when you get that vehicle, you want to take care of it. And that's where my friend Tim Porter comes in. He runs the Christian Brothers Automotive in Independence. You'll find them just to the east of 470/291. They're in that middle island that goes between the lanes when they split around the island. And they'll take care of your car just like they take care of mine. In fact, mine's coming up on its next service. And I was emailing with Tim today, and I said, you'll be seeing my vehicle before you know it. They take care of everything. Ford, Lincoln, Mercury, GM, Chrysler, Ram, Jeep, Honda, Acura, Toyota, Lexus, Nissan, Infiniti, BMW, Audi, Volkswagen, Volvo, and more that I haven't mentioned. They work on gas-powered engines. They work on hybrids, electric vehicles as well. And whatever they do to your car, 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty, whichever benefits you the most. Keep that car maintained, and you'll keep it for a long time. It starts with that first oil change. Meet with Tim and his team, and you'll find that my kid is on the team there at Christian Brothers and Independence. They'll take care of you just like you are family. ChristianBrothersAuto.com is where you find the one closest to you. They're all independently owned and operated. Tim Porter is my friend who runs the one in Independence. You can reach them at 816-795-6811. All right, daylight savings time, or daylight saving time. That's one of my pet peeves, and I just violated it. It's not daylight savings time, it's daylight saving time.
It's like Lyme's disease, the same thing.
So, I mean, pro, con, what do you think?
I am not a morning person. I'm a night owl. So I lose nothing by the sun rising later in the day, like in the winter. So I would be personally pro whatever it is, getting rid of it, I guess, so that it's light out later in the evening in the winter.
Well, let's do this. Let's set
set
the scene first with this video that I think explains exactly what it is.
Permanent daylight saving has passed. The House of Representatives has passed the Sunshine Protection Act 308-117. The bill was previously attached to a mega bill to help it pass, but it seems it passed individually without it. The president has fully endorsed the daylight savings time bill, and he wants it signed into law. Now, just to be clear, daylight saving time is summertime, and standard time is winter. Current winter time, sunrise is at 7:20 a.m. and sunset is at 5:25 p.m. Obviously, this varies on where you live. With daylight saving time winter, sunrise would be at 8:20 a.m. and sunset would be at 6:25 p.m. In other words, darker mornings and brighter nights. Now, the Senate tried to pass a similar bill in 2022, but the bill stalled out in the HOR. Now, the bill moves to the Senate, and then it'll go to the president. So the only block that was there previously was the House of Representatives, and they passed it. So it's very likely that the Senate will pass it very soon, and that the president will definitely sign it into law. So, daylight savings time might really become the only time, which is kind of historical. Let me know something in the comments, and thanks for watching.
So they did this once in the 70s, and it did not take. So for whatever
Like they
reason,
reversed it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So this may or may not take hold. I don't know. Like you, I don't have any strong feelings about it because I go to work at 2 o'clock in the morning and it's always dark.
Yeah, it's going to be dark at 2 a.m.
It's always dark at 2 a.m. And as far as when I go to bed, I've got blackout shutters and I'm on the east side of my house anyway when I go to bed. So it doesn't make any difference to me at all. So I don't really have any strong feelings about it. I just kind of threw it in.
Okay.
Will it cure the new thing that's out there that I may or may not have? I just kind of feel, right? And I phonetically spelled it here. It's called cyclosporiasis. Cyclosporiasis.
Starting with a C?
Yes.
Okay. Cyclosporiasis is a disease caused by infection of oocytes of Cyclospora.
It results in, volcanic diarrhea.
Transmitted by feces, contaminated food, and water. Outbreaks in the United States have been reported due to contaminated fruits and vegetables, and infection elsewhere is associated both with food contamination and with more broadly poor sanitation standards. So what does this have to do with daylight saving time?
Not much.
Okay.
To be honest.
This is the part of the podcast that was just thrown together, wasn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, will daylight saving time being permanent bring down gas prices? Here's something I'm really going to bitch about because I watch gas prices. This is just one of my things, right? When I get on Woods Chapel Road to get on I-70 to go to work every morning at 2 something in the morning, I go by a convenience store and I always, just out of habit, I just look at their display on gas prices. And when they're coming down, as they were, it's like, yes, we're finally coming down. Because policy aside, I want to pay as little for gasoline as possible, like every other American, right? Mm-hmm. It's coming down. It comes down like 1 cent, 2 cents, maybe a big move is 3 cents down. Well, I noticed it went up by about a quarter in one day.
Yeah.
And then it went up again. So in 2 days in Blue Springs, and your mileage may vary, but in my town, it's gone up 38 cents a gallon in 2 days.
Did that happen to be over the weekend?
No. I mean, this was, it went up yesterday. So this is a Thursday. So it started going up Tuesday morning.
Since this weekend.
And then, this weekend.
Yeah.
So you think it relates to us bombing the shit out of Iran again?
It might have something to do with, the Strait of Hormuz being maybe permanently
let's
closed.
Get it fixed. Come
and
on.
Us being at war continually again, even though we supposedly had a deal, but we obviously knew that we didn't have a deal.
I think it's hard to make a deal with those guys. I think they're just wired. They're wired to be instigators and troublemakers, and their neighbors don't like them very much. Mm-hmm. That's just who they are. And every president since at least 1980 has been dealing with the Iranians at this level, and maybe before. And none of them have fixed the Rubik's Cube, Republicans or Democrats. And this president is basically just saying, well, I'll just bomb the shit out of you until you come crawling to the table.
Yeah, but I mean, it's crawling to the table. The goal initially was regime change and or the nuclear program,
right,
which are both totally out the window now. They killed the guy they replaced is worse, and we're not getting a nuclear deal. So now the success is reopening the strait, which was open before the war. So the success that we're seeking is just the status quo that existed before any of this happened.
To be continued. And, I just hope they wrap it up, and I think everybody kind of hopes that they wrap it up. I think Donald Trump wants it wrapped up. He's got a midterm election coming up.
Yeah, of course. It looks terrible for him.
It does look terrible. So do what you got to do. Get this thing wrapped up, and most importantly to me, get the gas prices moving back down. And you gas companies, you're freaking gougers out there. There's no way that 2 days of bombing, significant bombing, causes gas to go up 38 cents a gallon.
It's speculation. It's not just based on the exchange rate for gasoline per gallon or whatever per barrel. It's based on speculation of what direction the market is going. and it's going in a bad direction.
Well, I'll bring it home right now, because if we get the daylight saving time permanently passed, I think all these things are going to take care of themselves.
Yeah. I'd like to believe that too.
Put a bow on that segment.
I think you're right. Yep.
Yeah. And make sure you've got the right roof on your house. Roofedbyroyal.com. That's my buddy Austin Watterson, who did the roof on my house. He would love to take a look at your roof and see what you've gone through with these spring storms that we've had. He's now working with Tamco Hail Guard. That's a roof that the Midwest can do its worst, and you're probably going to be okay. Beyond Class 4 is its rating. And Austin will explain all that to you and show you the differences. We've had him on the podcast before where he was beating the crap out of it with a hammer and couldn't do any damage. I don't think hailstorms are going to beat your roof like a hammer. 816-540-7057. Get the right roof on your house, and it may pay for itself in a lower home insurance rate. Insurance companies love hearing things like Tamco Hail Guard, and they definitely love hearing Beyond Class 4, and that's what you'll get with roofedbyroyal.com. Starts with a free inspection of your roof. 816-540-7057. Insurance agents like Bob Watson love to hear about that. I've got a Royal roof on my house, and my insurance agent is Bob Watson. See, these things all just kind of tie together. These are people who work with me, for me, and I'm very pleased with them, which is why I tell you about them as well. So if you live in Kansas or Missouri and you're looking to get a rate quote on your auto, home, life, commercial insurance, maybe that pontoon boat that you take out on the lake, maybe your buddy's got the pontoon boat. If you followed my advice, you don't have a pontoon boat, but your buddy does. They need insurance too. 816-229-7878. The office is at 7th and Main in Blue Springs with a full staff ready to take care of you, but that doesn't matter. Again, licensed in Missouri and Kansas. Bundle your home and car insurance, and you'll save even more. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
He doesn't even need the notes.
I really don't, because where we're going from here is the end. This is definitely going to bring it home. And this is why I told you, you need to watch the podcast. You see our beautiful faces, number one, and then you get to see the audio clips too. I know a lot of people do audio only on the podcast, but video is kind of fun too, especially when Chuck Schumer is speaking on the Senate floor. And I got to be careful about this because are you familiar with what the walking farts are?
Yeah.
That's something as we get older, right? There's less.
I know about fart walks.
Yeah. There's less sphincter control.
Okay.
And so, you more easily fart. I'm finding that as I get a little bit older, that it's happening to me as well. And just a quick little aside story here. When my brother and I were altar boys, when we were going to Catholic school, right? We had this cavernous church, Holy Spirit Church.
No.
Cavernous. And it's an early morning mass.
Sphincter church.
Yes.
This is bad.
And at communion, my brother and I, altar boys, we're down at the bottom of the steps, and we're flanking the priest. And there weren't many people at mass that morning. Mm-hmm. And one was an old man, and he was like trudging up toward getting communion, and with every step he was taking, he was farting. And little boys, come on. I mean, I'm 62 years old. I still think farts are funny. You think farts are funny?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So with every step he's taking, it's like, and it's just like echoing off the walls in this church. And I'll never forget the priest looking down at us like, do not laugh.
Mm-hmm.
I will beat your ass if you laugh. And so, that's where I learned. That's where I learned the skill of biting the inside of my mouth if I feel like I'm going to laugh. It's true. So Chuck Schumer's on the Senate
floor. I thought you were going to say if you thought you were going to have to fart. I was like, how does biting the inside of your mouth stop you from farting?
I just try and go to places in my house where nobody is there, and apparently my hearing's going too, because I will let one go, and my wife will go, "Heard it." Heard it. Jeez, what do I got to do here? I guess I'll go out in the backyard. I don't know.
Yeah, go to your pool.
So bubbles in the pool. So Chuck Schumer is speaking on the Senate floor, and we had this done with a thermal camera. And if you listen very carefully, we may want to play it more than once just because it's funny. But you can almost hear a little chuckle in his voice when he knows he did it. Have you've seen it?
Yeah.
All right.
A complete investigation that's independent. Now on Iran and the NDAA. When all the Trump administration, a complete investigation that's independent.
Seen this version. That's pretty good.
Now on Iran and the NDAA. When all the Trump administration, a complete investigation
you gotta listen
that's
to his
independent.
voice, though. His voice cracked.
Now on Iran and the NDAA. When all the Trump administration.
Yeah, he definitely knows it.
Yeah. So, and I would assume the Senate is kind of a cavern. I've been in there actually. It's kind of it's not as cavernous as a big Catholic church would be, but sound does travel within the Senate.
And to wrap it all up, Royal Roofing and Solar will protect you from hail and from strong wind.
Well played. Well played. Until next week, we'll do this again, and I'll try and have every segment be focused, because otherwise Kurt's going to give me crap for it. And how does that tie into daylight saving time? Well, you know.
I think we just tie everything into daylight saving time now.
From now on.
Yeah, from now on.
From now on, everything will tie into daylight saving time. Until next week, this is Dale Carter's America.
The views expressed on Dale Carter's America are Dale's and Kurt Wheeler's. They do not necessarily reflect the views of KFKF or Steel City Media. Comments can be sent to dalecartersamerica@gmail.com. Check back for weekly episodes. Subscribe, spread the word, and give us a 5-star review. Thanks for being a part of Dale Carter's America.